Welcome back to the Liberty Garden 2018 Spring Midseason Showdown Finals here at the only game in town in Somerville, New Jersey. I am Joe Brown, joined by Rowlett masquerading as James Bake because he can't move right now. How are you stable? Are you in the zone right now?
It's kind of hard to balance with the headphones like right next to the Rowlett feet, so trying to get it.
Well, we got Rowlett. We have our Mimikyu here, but more importantly, our finalists. They are fighting for the ultimate plush, the Liberty Garden Pikachu. This is the coolest thing. It's got, oh my god, look at that. It's got you known as like, oh, this is so cool. I want to try to add some drama, some flair to this match, but the truth of the matter is both of our finalists get a plush, so it's not as dramatic. Really, the difference here is the 10 championship points, the difference between winning and getting second place. And both these trainers obviously going for day two, potentially every amount of CP, every little CP helps.
Yep. So this is going to be an interesting match. We got Stephen May versus Paul Chua, and they haven't actually faced at all this format, but they played a lot back in 2017. They played against each other in a couple of MSSs, and I believe Stephen actually won most of their matches. And actually, it was a finals match in the Philadelphia region that they faced each other in the finals. So should be still a pretty interesting match. Stephen is fighting for as many championship points as he can, just to try to get day two, of course, because he's on the borderline of the 8th spot, as Paul Chua is fighting for enough CP so he can maybe with the next MSS can qualify for Worlds.
Yeah, obviously, when you play in the same region, and we have there's a lot of premier challenges and mid-seasons in the New York, New Jersey area. Of course, you can go up to Connecticut and Massachusetts, all the way down to Maryland. It's bound that these top-level players will consistently play against each other later on in Swiss or in top 8 or top 4. So I'm sure Steven and Paul are obviously familiar with each other's play styles, and that might make this match more exciting for us, for our casual audience, because they might know what to expect out of their opponent.
Yeah, Paul and Steven, I have observed their matches in their past, and they tend to play very aggressively against each other. So it should be interesting to see how aggressive they can go in this match and see if it works out for them.
Yeah, and get ready to talk fast because there is the potential in this matchup for both of our players. They know their teams, they know their play style, they know what their ins and outs are, that they can just pick very quickly. So are you prepared, James?
Yes, but
we're throwing you into the fire into a lightning round by Jake Skirchak as he's waving to us outside. It's not like we're streaming, Jake. It's cool.
I also hope our viewers can read Japanese, because we're using Paul's card because Steven does have digital, so we're going to be viewing a Japanese side.
Yeah, I like to call these guys a couple of dinguses. Steven for using the digital cart for reasons, and then Paul, I respect it. He's trying to do something a little different. I know sometimes we see like Worlds finals in another language, but nope, we're just here in Jersey trying to read Japanese, seeing if Rockslide flinched or not. So I'm gonna rely heavily on you. Yeah, it's good practice. We're gonna need to work together here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need a helping hand from you, James.
Let's just say that these teams are very interesting. Both are actually very popular teams in the beginning of the meta. We got Steven's team, where it was created by a player known as Conan Wild and was used very primarily during the Bowspot double season of Sun and Moon. And of course, we got Paul Chua's team, which is very similar to a team that was very popular in the beginning of the VGC 18 meta. So it's interesting to see that we're seeing these old teams come back with some new tricks.
All right, Paul Chua on the bottom of your screen, and Stephen Mia on the top of your screen. Paul has the Kangaskhan Tapu Fini lead, with Steven having Gardevoir and Incineroar, of course, that Garderoar combination.
Yeah, so Intimidate is going to fire off onto the Kangaskhan and the Tapu Fini, and it's pretty big. Paul is probably in the better position right here because of the option for a faster fake out. Can fake out the Gardevoir, can fake out the Incineroar, and this Fini from the last time we saw Paul was carrying that choice back, so threatening a Muddy Water, and Steven doesn't really have a good switch into Muddy Water other than the Tapu Fini he has, but Tapu Fini won't be able to pressure these Pokemon for much damage. damage. So interesting to see here. We're going to see Steven switch out to Gardevoir right here.
I actually wanted to see a lot of times Gardevoir with that trace ability, they can like trace Parental Bond, and sometimes you don't Mega Evolve, you get that double attack. Of course, Parental Bond being nerfed doesn't help it out as much here. So Steven will switch out or switch in Zapdos into the Gardevoir slot. Nothing else switches out. The Misty Seed activating, increasing its special defense by 1 stage, and Kangaskhan Mega Evolving. Here is a Fake Out into Zapdos. Not going to matter since it switched out or switched in this turn. And the Muddy Water does connect on at least one of the Pokemon, only the Incineroar there, getting an accuracy drop as well. Incineroar didn't go for a Fake Out, actually goes for a Low Kick, which brings Kangaskhan down to under half of its HP.
Yeah, so really nice play from Steven. The Muddy Water miss on Zapdos is pretty huge because maybe a return into another Muddy Water would have actually been able to finish off the Zapdos here. But very nice play from Steven, weakening that Kangaskhan, putting in range of maybe a Hyper Voice or a Thunderbolt or any other move basically. And Steven's going to retreat the Incineroar here, going to switch out to preserve the Intimidate.
Paul might just keep going for Muddy Waters and hope for more accuracy drops since Steven switched out that Incineroar into Aegislash. Thunderbolt does over half of Tapu Fini's HP actually, so that's a lot of damage considering Electric Terrain was not on the field. A return into the Zapdos brings it down to under half of its HP.
Yeah, so Muddy Water going to come out into the Zapdos, and the Aegislash going to miss a knockout on the Zapdos, which is pretty big. But the fact is that returned it a lot to the Zapdos, and interesting to note that we're seeing that the Zapdos is faster than the Kangaskhan, which is going to be really big information. So we are going to see the Zapdos just keep firing off Thunderbolts, going to be able to knock out the Fini here. No switches coming out. So Paul does lose his Tapu Fini, which is major damage output in this matchup, as we're going to see the Kangaskhan just fire off a return and finish off the Zapdos right here.
Yeah, it's like the excuse me, the Zapdos not able to get a lot of pressure off. It was Fake Outed, then it gets returned, and he gets knocked out this turn as Aegislash will switch to its Blade form and hit the Kangaskhan for a knockout there. So that was a super effective attack, I believe. So that was probably the Sacred Sword.
It was.
Right from the Steven. So we don't have a situation where the Aegislash is not able to attack Kangaskhan. Actually, Steven preparing for facing maybe Snorlax or any other normal type Pokemon, and Kangaskhan just falling victim to the prevalence of Snorlax in the format. As Paul will switch in the Cresselia, which we saw do so much work for him in his top 8 match. Probably worked out a lot in top 4. We didn't see that match, but Landorus is its teammate, and Landorus Cresselia is such a strong combination, especially with this Calm Mind Crest.
Yeah, so Calm Mind Crest is going to be pretty nice here. However, the fact is this Aegislash could be carrying that Z move. We haven't seen the Z move yet from Steven. And the Intimidate onto Landorus, that Landorus can no longer reset that Intimidate as Fake Out pressure. Also Steven going to fire off into that Landorus right here.
Yeah, Fake Out, a pretty simple turn from Steven. Fake out the Landorus. He can hit both of my Pokemon super effectively with an Earthquake. I don't want that to happen, but Paul is then free to Calm Mind and increase his Cresselia's special attack and special defense by 1 stage each. Here is the Never-Ending Nightmare. I wonder if it's called something differently in Japanese. We're going to find out. Maybe it says Never-Ending Nightmare. Can't confirm, but it will. I can confirm that Never-Ending Nightmare goes into the Cresselia slot. Super effective and not enough thanks to Calm Mind. It just sticks around. Was almost a one-hit knockout for Steven. That was huge.
That's an absolutely huge survival here because now Landorus is threatening an Earthquake and will do a lot of damage to the Incineroar and the Aegislash. And the fact is Cresselia might be able to just get a free Moonlight here as Steven's going to go on the defensive here and go for the King Shield.
Really huge. Also, give a shout out to Maureen Cox, who stopped making dinner to listen to Joe Brown. We'll read that right now.
So thank you at Maureen Cox. I stopped making dinner to watch.
Mom.
Oh my God, Mama Ashton, she's the best. That's awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate the love and support. I guess it worked when I said tell your mom to watch because Estes' mom is actually watching right now. That is so awesome. Cresselia will Moonlight, going back up to just above half of its HP on this turn, and Misty Terrain will run out, so they're going to have to, another Tapu, which we don't really have access to right now, would have to come in to set up another Terrain, and Gardevoir making its appearance here in the finals for Steven. Again, we saw it on turn 1, but it switched out, so it hasn't really done much, obviously, in game 1 here. I'm not sure what, or I guess it got Levitate because it didn't get Intimidate with that Trace ability, because we would have seen that, so...
And that's absolutely huge, because now this Landers, -1 Earthquake's still going to do decent amount to Aegislash, where a -2 might be a 3 KO potentially, as that Earthquake is going to fire off here. No Mega Evolution from the Gardevoir, wanting to preserve the Levitate, using it to his advantage here, as Earthquake really doesn't do much to the Aegislash.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. That's what we were talking about earlier, where if you trace Principal Bond, you trace something really important, you don't necessarily Mega Evolve right away to take advantage of it. And of course, Levitate, making you immune to the to ground type attacks, is nice for Steven to not take any damage this turn. And a Shadow Ball goes into that Landers, bring it down to half its HP, and Gardevoir successfully landing the Trick Room option, making all of the slower Pokemon on the field actually attack first while Trick Room is up.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge here, because of the fact you're able to get that Trick Room off. Now you can double up into Landers, don't have to worry about King Shielding again if it was not Trick Room, if Trick Room wasn't up, so now you can double into Landers. And Cresselia can only target one Pokemon, and it's still not going to be able to do too much. We already saw the moveset from Calm Mind Cresselia earlier. Icy Wind plus Psy Shock really won't be doing too much to Aegislash and Gardevoir, so Steven has a very free KO onto that Landers right here.
And now here comes the Mega Gardevoir, as Aegislash will King Shield, going to protect, go back into its shield form, bulking up its defenses. Cresselia, another Calm Mind. It is such a threat for Paul. Just look, it's been staying on the field this whole time, really hasn't been switching around or anything, just Moonlights and Calm Minds and doing a little bit where it can. But a Psychic on Landorus gets a knockout. Actually, it might have actually been Psyshock, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was Psyshock.
Right, so a lot of trainers opt for Psyshock because it targets Pokemon's defensive stat while using your Pokemon's special attack. So it can definitely help against Pokemon with more special defense, like Tapu Fini or Tapu Lele. But obviously still enough for a knockout on Landorus, as the Psychic into Substitute is enough to make the Substitute fade for the Aegislash. And here is a Hyper Voice onto the Cresselia, but a +2. Cresselia just really not taking that much damage, so it looks like Aegislash is going to have to do the super effective damage, or super effective work here with Shadow Ball.
Yeah, but I don't even know. You're probably going to need quite a bit of luck if you're Paul, because of the fact you're probably going to have to avoid some special defense drops. The special defense drop might actually just end the game right here, but Steven's just going to go for Substitute, probably maybe expecting Paul to go for a, maybe it was a Z move, or maybe a Calm Mind once again, or a Moonlight potentially. And
here is the Shattered Psyche from Cresselia. The question is, who does Paul target? If it goes into Aegislash, just going to hit the Substitute. But if it goes into Gardevoir, no, actually, that would have been definitely different, because that would have done a lot of damage to Gardevoir. Just poor little Substitute, never had a chance, gets knocked out from the Shattered Psyche. Critical hit obviously didn't matter, since it has a set amount of HP, and the Aegislash gonna be down into red, under 10% of its HP, and that's a critical hit. That's a single target Hyper Voice boosted by Pixelate, boosted by a critical hit, and now the Cresselia is down on its last legs, if it had any legs actually, as Aegislash will be able to get this last knockout onto Cresselia here in game 1, and Steven walks away from a rough spot to actually winning game 1.
Yeah, as a Calm Mind Cresselia player back in 2015, I know the pain of using Calm Mind Cresselia. Getting crit is never fun, but of course that is the risk you're taking while trying to set up those Calm Minds. You always had that risk of being crit, so very unfortunate crit, because Paul might have actually been able to handle it out, might have been able to Moonlight. Aegislash would have probably been forced to either King Shield or attack right there, because it couldn't set up another Substitute, and potentially Calm Mind Cresselia, if it was able to beat the Aegislash and get into a position where it can Moonlight against the Gardevoir and outspeed it, could have potentially one. Of course, you were asking for critical hits because of how many attacks were going to be fired off, but definitely a game that was still winnable from Paul. It would have been interesting to see if Steven could have won without that critical hit.
Yeah, and it shows the differences in sets that our trainers run, where Chris only had Shadow Ball, only had a ghost type attack for the Kangaskhan, couldn't target it, where obviously Steven has Sacred Sword, super effective on Kangaskhan, so it's not as free of a matchup. He has to find a way for Paul. His Kangaskhan is so important in all of his sets throughout the years that he doesn't want to take a Sacred Sword, has to keep Kangaskhan around for that fake out support so that Cresselia can get more Calm Minds, or you can have Landers having more attacks. I think Kangaskhan staying on the field is going to be important for Paul to force a game 3.
Yeah, so there are a lot of options that Paul and Steven can do in this matchup because of the fact that, one, we saw that the Cresselia was able to live that Never-Ending Nightmare at +1 special defense, but only barely. So if Steven could get a bit of chip damage, could just fire off a Never-Ending Nightmare very freely, but of course, maybe Paul could keep like Kangaskhan in the back, for instance, to switch into Never-Ending Nightmare, but instead we're going to see the same lead for Paul and a different lead from Steven.
And here is our leads for Game 2. Paul Chua, Tapu Fini, and Kangaskhan as Steven Zapdos Incineroar. Steven kind of calling that Paul was going to lead Fini here, being able to activate Zapdos's Misty Seed without the help of Steven's own Tapu Fini there. So that was a nice little play, increasing its special defense by 1 stage here from the first turn, as 2 Pokemon with fake out options here on turn 1. Obviously, the Kangaskhan has to get through its Mega Evolution animation. Thankfully, we don't have a Mega Incineroar at this moment to wait for that. Incineroar will eat this fake out actually from Kangaskhan, so does not have the chance to retaliate and fake out one of Paul's Pokemon. Zapdos, maybe that was the more important target, as Steven is able to set up Tailwind here and increase his Pokemon's speed for the next 3 turns.
Yeah, but a double Muddy Water miss from Paul. That's really unfortunate. The damage would have been absolutely huge on Incineroar and Zapdos potentially, because another return into Muddy Water might have actually been able to knock out the Zapdos. But now Steven's in a really good position, can just fire off attacks, try to weaken these Pokemon, maybe switch out the Incineroar to conserve it for later. But right here can just get a lot of damage off into Paul. And Paul not going to be able to do much damage with the Kangaskhan at -1. So might want to readjust his board position by switching out Kangaskhan. However, that does give Steven the opportunity to just get some free attacks off.
The Kangaskhan switch out definitely makes sense, and that actually might give Steven the option to target that slot or the Tapu Fini slot. But instead, as of right now, Steven will switch out his Incineroar into Mega Gardevoir, will trace one of the 2 abilities, not necessarily important since either Parental Bond or Misty Surge, which is already activated on the field. Kangaskhan does switch out on this turn into Cresselia, and a double switch for Paul. We saw him do this in top 8 also, where he double switched and revealed all 4 of his Pokemon, and this Landorus is the switch in for Paul, intimidating 2 special attackers, so it doesn't matter too much, and I assume the Thunderbolt went into the Landorus, which is immune.
Yep, that was a Thunderbolt, and Paul positions himself nicely, not taking any damage. However, Steven has also put himself in a nice position. Since Cresselia hasn't gotten the Calm Mind up, it's still going to be taking a lot of damage from Hyper Voice here. And Steven going to bring out the Landers just to intimidate Paul's side, so it can't do much damage to the Gardevoir, which it wasn't really going to do already, but, you know, never hurts.
It's simple. You see your opponent bring out Landorus, you just retaliate by bringing out your own Landorus with your Intimidate. So now Paul, his attack is at -1. Mega Gardevoir will have that Pixelate ability, boosting this Hyper Voice going into both of Paul's Pokemon. Not doing that much considering Cresselia is so tanky, and Paul has the Assault Vest on his Landorus. An Earthquake only hitting Gardevoir on this turn and doesn't even bring it into the yellow, so that's how little the Intimidated Earthquake does, and Paul taking this opportunity to Calm Mind and increase its special attack and special defense again. We've seen him all throughout today. His win condition is Calm Mind Crest, and he's just going to keep setting it up.
Yeah, now notice that Steven has revealed all 4 Pokemon, and there is no Aegislash this time, so that's absolutely huge. The biggest way to check the Calm Mind Cresselia, but Knockoff going to go out into Cresselia instead, maybe trying to double it down here, but I don't think it will get the knockout.
Yeah, of course, it doesn't knock off an item since it is holding the Psychium Z item, so really just going for some damage there onto Cresselia, bringing it down to pretty low, maybe enough for, probably enough for a knockout with Gardevoir here as Landorus switches out thanks to its U-turn that went into Gardevoir. Here is Tapu Fini. Misty Surge already up, so eventually it's actually going to run out on the field. And no Psychic, no Calm Mind, actually a Moonlight, which is huge because here it would have potentially been knocked out from a Hyper Voice next turn from Steven.
Yeah, so this is absolutely huge. I really like that position that Paul put himself into. Slow U-turn so his Fini doesn't take any damage. Now he's threatening a lot of damage with the Muddy Water, but these plays keep on happening fast.
That's what we were saying, it's going to be fast and heavy. Another knockoff and Hyper Voice combination, not enough for a knockout. And Paul saying, thank you for targeting me for both of your Pokemon. Now I'm just going to Moonlight and recover all that HP that you just knocked out of me. And Tapu Fini is free to Muddy Water, connecting on both of Steven's Pokemon. Not a knockout on either, and no accuracy drops either, so Steven should be happy about that. Misty Terrain does leave the field. Of course, it can come back if Paul decides to switch out his Fini and bring it back in later. But no accuracy drop is good for Steven.
Yeah, so pretty nice. Paul's Cresselia might actually be in range of another knockoff plus Hyper Voice depending on the rolls, but it looks like no switching to Landers to maybe save it. It goes Stone Edge onto the Fini.
Stone Edge connects and has a critical hit, which will knock out the Tapu Fini. Doesn't do a lot of damage to Cresselia as we've seen for the last couple of turns, but that's great for Steven to get rid of that threat, that Muddy Water threat. Just for the chance of accuracy drops really hurts what Steven can try to go for from a turn-to-turn basis. A simple Moonlight from Cresselia. It has 1 Calm Mind boost, and the last 3 turns it has used Moonlight, so it's not able to take advantage of the Calm Mind that Paul was able to set up with. But maybe this turn it can, thanks to Kangaskhan coming out for a Fake Out.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't even have to go for Fake Out. If it's faster than Landis or Gardevoir can just fire off a return here. But we're going to see Landis retreat. Probably want to save that Intimidate as Zapdos is going to come out on the field.
Zapdos, maybe an Ice Punch. It is also super effective on Zapdos there. Gardevoir protecting. What did Paul target with his Kangaskhan? It goes into the Zapdos. I believe that was Return. I don't think Fake Out would have done that much damage.
Actually, that was Fake Out.
That was Fake Out? That did a lot of damage. Jeez, what? Zapdos, wow, I wasn't expecting that much, honestly. And then Icy Wind, so a more supportive turn from Paul. I was expecting maybe that was the chance for Paul to use his Psychium Z or a strong boosted Psychic, or go for a Calm Mind since he had Fake Out support on that turn, but instead wants Icy Wind.
Yeah, so this is pretty interesting. Steven doesn't have exactly the best position in knocking out the Cresselia. Probably has to rely on Incineroar to probably do a lot of damage to Cresselia, but with a Psychium Z on that Cresselia, Knockoff's not going to do too much damage, so really don't like Steven's position right here, as he's probably going to try to get rid of the Kangaskhan or maybe set up for a different endgame.
Paul is probably betting that this Landorus would switch into the Zapdos slot, so what did Paul go for as the Hyper Voice double target, hitting both of Paul's Pokemon? Next up, Kangaskhan into Landorus is enough for a knockout, so Steven is not able to keep switching and recycling in his Landorus for the Intimidate. Now Kangaskhan, once it switches out again, will be able to stay at neutral attack, and a Psychic onto Gardevoir. Paul clearing Steven's side of the field right now, taking a huge 4-2 advantage and looking prime to force Game 3. 3-2. Sorry about that. As we have Incineroar and
Fini was knocked out.
Incineroar and Zapdos. Thank you. Sorry about that. Zapdos at half HP. Incineroar coming in here with an Intimidate. Kangaskhan's at -2 now, so it probably wants to switch out into Paul's remaining Pokemon, which is the Landorus. But that could give the Incineroar a free turn to either Fake Out Cresselia or knock off, or target the switch in on Kangaskhan on that slot.
Yeah, I think if you're Paul, you want to target down the Zapdos. Probably just go for an Icy Wind return, because you want to have, or maybe you just go hard Landers here to get Intimidate off. to lower the damage output from Incineroar, maybe going for an end game where Kangaskhan can finish off the Incineroar instead.
Landorus does switch in to the Kangaskhan slot and Intimidate onto Incineroar, not really affecting Zapdos, and Zapdos is free to Tailwind, so now Steven's going to be faster for the next couple of turns. Cresselia, no damage again. A Moonlight, bringing it back up to full HP. This Cresselia has been on the field the entire game. Look how little the knockoff does to Cresselia, and that is because it's holding that Z move. Steven does not have the benefit of the additional damage, where if Cresselia was holding a regular item.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Paul has a few options. Might want to switch out the Landers here, or he could just go on the offense, which it looks like he does. Heat Wave's going to come out, not knock out the Landers, as knockoff coming out.
Yeah, there's the Heat Wave. That was close. I was also wondering if maybe they'd get a burn on it, but no burn. Landorus does switch out a U-turn into that Incineroar slot. We'll bring in Kangaskhan, and now the last turn we have here, or the last move we have on this turn is whatever Cresselia is going to go for. And here, finally, Paul breaking out the Z move in Game 2. Shattered Psyche. We had a little fist bump between our players, so Steven understanding that this Shattered Psyche is going to knock out one of his Pokemon and put Paul in a commanding position.
Yep, Zapdos is going to be knocked out here, and then it's Incineroar versus a Kangaskhan, a Cresselia, and a Landorus, and basically Kangaskhan and the Lander should be able to finish off the job, and we're probably going to go into Game 3. So really interesting here that Steven did not bring the Aegislash. I think that was a really important adjustment. Tried to rely on Incineroar, but with that Z move on Cresselia, just not going to be able to do much damage with that knockoff.
Yeah, it's 3-1 right now. That Incineroar, sure, it can hit Kangaskhan, or it can hit the Cresselia with a knockoff or the Kangaskhan with a low kick, but really was not enough, did not have the option of, or did not have the capabilities really of knocking out all three of Paul's remaining Pokemon. So as we get set up here, our good friend Rowlet has rejoined the battle. How are you? You look a little uncomfortable trying to keep it in place.
I mean, it's kind of weird because it's like more on my right side of my head than my left instead of the middle. It's not really balanced in the middle of my head, but
it's dedication. I respect it.
Yeah.
That was.
So does chat, by the way. We need to see if he still has it there.
There we go. We're keeping chat engaged. It's about audience retention. You're doing a great job in your finals, James. I'm really happy. Really proud.
You too, Joe. But let's talk about this Game 3, as both players, it looks like, know what they want.
Oh my God, they just locked in.
Let's talk. That was super fast. Let's talk just as fast. Cresselia, Calm Mind Cresselia, got the boost, was able to survive the never-ending nightmare, and then just stayed on the field forever and eventually won Paul the game. Steven has to handle Calm Mind Cresselia if he wants to walk away as the Midseason Showdown champion.
Yep, we're going to see Gardevoir and Zapdos lead off against Kangaskhan, and I believe Naganadel has an adjustment this time.
Ooh, okay. Naganadel is one of these Ultra Beasts that was added in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Tiago has literally no idea what is on the field right now. He just looked like he saw an alien, which is actually an accurate depiction since it is not a conventional Pokemon. That Poison type will actually really hurt Gardevoir, so Steven has to be wary of whatever Naganadel goes for. It can actually answer, or it can copy Zapdos' Tailwind too.
Yeah, so there are a lot of options. It really depends on this Naganadel set, but we're going to see the Zapdos retreat instead into, looks like the Landorus.
Landorus, I mean, they both have Intimidate, so they're kind of using the same purpose there for Steven. The Incineroar or the Landorus with the switch in would be safe, but he chooses Landorus here, lowering Paul's Pokemon's attack by one stage, and Kangaskhan does not switch out, will actually stay in. Let's go, a Fake Out or an Ice Punch or a Return. We're going to have to find out, as Gardevoir, not Mega Evolving, actually will just protect and a Fake Out into the Landorus slot. Now it's up to Naganadel, which went for, I presume, a Sludge Bomb onto Gardevoir. Would have been a nice call for Paul to Tailwind on this turn.
Yeah, but he doesn't really need, and of course the Gardevoir could have punished with a Trick Room, so not deciding to get Speed Control, probably just trying to get as much damage as possible, maybe for his Calm Mind Cresselia sweep. Landorus is in a good position where it's not really threatened by these Pokemon unless the Naganadel carries an HP Ice. We haven't really seen this Naganadel on stream yet, so interesting to see. Gardevoir is going to Mega Evolve here though.
And that's really gutsy to not to not bring Naganato in all the matches he's had on stream today and wait for Game 3 of the finals to show it off. It's got to have something for us, as this double target into Gardevoir is enough, and Steven is down his Mega, so is down 4-3, losing one of his most important Pokemon on the field, and of course Beast Boost for Naganato. I don't remember which is typically its fastest or its highest base stat. Do you remember?
Tends to be speed.
Tends to be speed typically, right? Because it's one of those Tapu Hunters, so it's even faster now on this turn, and Steven was not able to knock out Kangaskhan, so it can stick around for one more turn and go for another attack, as Steven will bring in his Zapdos here. No Misty Terrain, so no boost to its special attack.
Yeah, and this is absolutely huge here. Getting rid of that Gardevoir, so Cresselia, Kangaskhan will not be worried about switching to Hyper Voices now. And now, with that damage output, could go for a Tailwind right here, since it doesn't have to worry about Trick Room anymore. We're going to see the switch out from Kangaskhan into Landers to get Intimidate off into the opposing Landers here.
Definitely makes sense for the Landers to switch into the Kangaskhan slot. Paul wants to preserve his Kang for later, has that fake out pressure. And now, actually, Naganato was already fast, but now he's going to boost up the rest of his team with a Tailwind, as Steven, with an Earthquake, only hitting the Naganato this turn. Super effective, but not enough for a knockout. Brings it down to under half, though, as Zapdos matching Naganato's Tailwind there with a Tailwind of its own, but still Paul's Naganato is faster than everything else on the field because of that Beast Boost.
Yeah, that Landers doesn't really look too hot for Steven right now, as it's at -2 attack and -1 in defense. Might be forced to switch out here, but of course Paul could capitalize if he does anticipate that, and could just get a lot of damage onto the Zapdos. Without Misty Seed on that Zapdos, the Sludge Bomb plus Rock Slide's really going to hurt. So no matter what, Steven's probably going to be taking a lot of damage or going to be put in a bad position here.
Naganato with the Sludge Bomb onto Zapdos, not even enough to bring it down to yellow. And knockoff from Paul's Landorus onto Steven's Landorus, knocking off that Assault Vest that we saw earlier. And the Zapdos seemed like it missed its attack. Could have been a Heat Wave miss or a Thunderbolt into that ground type. I'm not sure what it was, but I do know that the Earthquake from Steven was enough for a knockout on the Naganato. So now it's 3-3 right now, and there's the Heat Wave. So I guess I have my turns out of order. Heat Wave single target, really not doing that much damage to an Assault Vest Landorus.
Yeah, as we're going to see the Feeny come in. Feeny is going to be able to do a lot of damage, and again, since Steven doesn't have a water resist other than the opposing Tapu Fini, it's going to activate the Misty Seeds though, so Zapdos might be able to live a Rock Slide plus Muddy Water combination right here, but the Landers is just really hurting Steven right now. It's not really doing too much, and if it switches out, something's going to be taking a lot of damage here, so Steven really going to have to choose between either sacking his Landers right here or potentially taking a lot of damage with whatever he has in the back.
And that's a tough decision to make, because there's no room for error right now in Game 3, as Paul will just Rock Slide. Connecting on both of Steven's Pokemon, will there be any flinches? The Zapdos seemed like it was not able to get an attack off. I think the Landorus also was not able to attack, so that could have been a double flinch potentially, but the Muddy Water did not connect on Zapdos, but did hit Landorus and knock it out. So Steven is now down to his final two Pokemon, being Zapdos and Aegislash. Steven, understanding Aegislash was important for him in Game 1, didn't bring it Game 2, does bring it back in Game 3, but it might be too late.
Yes, because of the fact that as long as Paul is able to get a move off onto that Zapdos, maybe not having to go for Rock Slide here. If Rock Slide misses, maybe Steven has a chance, but it looks like Rock Slide is just going to be clicked, and it will be able to knock out the Zapdos, and Phoenix just going to be able to get a lot of damage off right here.
Right, and our players, they handshake, they're smiling, talking with each other, having fun, understanding that Paul has successfully secured this option. Muddy Water, single target onto the Aegislash, does connect, brings it down to half, but Steven going out with a bang, or going out with a spook, as I should say, with this very scary, never-ending nightmare into one of Paul's Pokemon. Probably the Feeny, I would assume.
It could be either target. Maybe Steven's out is probably just to go for a crit onto Landorus and hope maybe Paul misses a bunch of Muddy Waters and is able to Toxic Stall, but that's really unlikely in the first place. Oh wait, he doesn't have Toxic, so yeah, pretty much game over.
Right, so, but at least this will help out, even up, or make the Pokemon count a little bit closer as Landorus gets knocked out. Paul goes down to his final two, and is Tapu Fini and Kangaskhan Kangaskhan, after it Mega Evolved, it doesn't have Scrappy anymore, so it can't fake out, it can't return. So it's also really low on health, so it really is down to Tapu Fini against this half health Aegislash.
Yeah, but Steven's gonna fight out, go into King's Shield, and then probably try to substitute and hope he can dodge a Muddy Water. But it's looking pretty grim at this point because Sucker Punch would be able to knock out the substitute, and even then, like, Aegislash has to dodge a bunch of Muddy Waters, and a crit Shadow Ball won't even knock out the Phoenix. So Paul has multiple chances still.
Right, because eventually Steven is going to need to attack. So Paul is free. You can set up substitute. You can do whatever you want. But you can just click Sucker Punch and eventually get that knockout that you want. A Muddy Water from Paul onto the Aegislash brings Steven down to so low on his HP remaining. And there is another handshake. So Paul's free to choose whatever moves he wants to go for this turn. And Paul Chua is your 2018 Liberty Garden Spring Midseason Showdown champion.
A brilliant set by both players. I think it was really nice because Paul ended up making the adjustment here. Sucker Punch into Fini just for some laughs right here. As who knows, if that Muddy Water missed, maybe a
yeah, that would have been actually pretty funny if you go styling on your opponent to then lose. And a critical hit just for the fun of it at the end. Of course, our players, they're both friends. They've known each other for all these years, both world's caliber. We can even expect maybe to see this rematch at the World Championships in some level, either Swiss or Day 2 or at any point. One can hope, one can dream. Maybe you're also in the mix, James.
Maybe, but very nicely played from both players indeed. I think the brilliant part was, I think Paul knew that Steven had to bring Aegislash because Calm Mind Cresselia was just such a big problem to the team. So he knew that Steven was forced to bring Aegislash right there, and instead was able to adjust him. As you saw, there was no Calm Mind Cresselia at all on Paul's side. He opted for Kangaskhan, Naganadel, the Landis-Variant, and the Tapu Fini. So we see no Calm Mind Cresselia, instead trying to go offense, and was just able to pressure Steven. That Sucker Punch and the Sludge Bomb combination was absolutely huge, being able to knock out the Gardevoir, and getting rid of Gardevoir was just absolutely huge. He didn't have to risk Hyper Voices, which would have done a lot of damage to his team because he had no resist otherwise. So really nicely played from Paul. They were able to get just a lot of damage off onto Steven's end, and Steven, I think, was trying to prepare for Calm Mind Cresselia and try to save that Aegislash in the back. Unfortunately, by having that lander stuck in at -2, we just wasn't able to do much with it. And yeah, Paul was able to take out Steven pretty nicely in the finals.
Yeah, I just, the Calm Mind Cresselia was the MVP for Paul in that set. No, hold on, we're talking here, Steven. Sorry. It was so valuable that when he didn't bring it in Game 3, it actually won Paul the set because he brought Naganadel instead. So that's how awesome it was to see. Maybe this changes some of the meta. Obviously, a lot of people go Trick Room and Ally Switch and Icy Wind, more supportive options. Maybe we do see more Calm Mind and Psychic and Moonlight Cresselia throughout the format, maybe even in Brazil.
Yeah, definitely. Calm Mind Cresselia is still a very strong option for VGC 18, being able to take on a lot of Pokemon in the format, able to wall and sponge up attacks very nicely.
So I'm not sure. Are we doing a winner interview? All right. So we're doing a winner interview, not a second place interview. Sorry.
I would love to interview Paul.
And
I'm okay with that. I can always hook up another microphone.
We will be right back with Paul Chua, your Liberty Garden Midseason Showdown champion. So don't go anywhere.
Actually,
No, okay. I only had to crit like 1 of 4. Why are you?
But still, like,
why are you mad?
If you didn't crit,
You
you
won.
would've won that first game.
You won.
Welcome
Yeah, I know,
back to
still
the
on.
Liberty Garden mid-season showdown here. We got both the finalists here in the 3-man interview.
Hate you, Paul.
What is up, you two?
Love you too.
So, any beef you guys want to show our viewers? Any beef?
No, I don't have any beef with
I have
Steven.
absolutely no beef with Paul.
If I did, it's already cleared up, so.
It's already cleared up.
Yeah, because I won.
Anyway, first, congratulations on both finals. I know, Steven, you were looking for this MSS victory, especially since you got second at the last New Jersey one.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
How esports is this stream? Very esports or?
I don't know what that means.
It's Pokemon. What do you expect?
Jen is dumb, and I got 3 hours of sleep last night. So explain what you mean by how esports is the stream.
Do you know what I mean, Jake? Or?
I think so.
Okay, I'm just gonna go and buy an assumption. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just won this, so.
So tell us your minds throughout that set. Like, it'd be interesting to hear from both players' perspectives.
Game 1, I just thought you were just gonna bury back up with Crest, and I was just gonna kill it with Aegislash eventually. You kind of had to go for the crits at the end of it.
Yeah.
Game 2, what happened? Game 2? I don't remember.
I don't even remember either.
You kind of just got better positioning as the game went on.
Yeah, I guess so. And
then-
then game 3 with the Naganado.
I just didn't know you had sucker.
Yeah.
I realized like you were slower than my guard, which is pretty slow.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, he probably has Ice Punch if he has that much attack. Aww.
Oh, thanks.
Keep talking.
So
yeah.
he probably has Ice Punch or something like Rock Tomb if he has that much investment in
Yeah.
bulk. So I didn't expect the Sucker Punch. So I was just thinking like Psy Shock. No, not Psy Shock. I went for. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I went for Hyper Voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I clicked Hyper Voice. I almost wanted to click Trick Room because once I saw Naganadel, I was like, okay, he probably doesn't have Cress. And then I can kind of go off with Aegislash under Trick Room.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, the first game, like, I saw that you had, like, a lot of, like, special attackers, so I knew that a Calm Mind with Cresselia would help me out a lot.
Because it boosts your special defense.
Yeah, that's how it worked.
Right, James?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, crits don't help with that. So.
No, crits do not help with that. Crits are great.
Somebody in chat is asking what the last move on Aegislash was.
Did I reveal it?
King.
No, I was gonna reveal it, but then
Sword, Shadow Ball.
You used Sacred Sword already.
Revealed it. I don't know if it was this.
I used it against Trista.
No, he did.
Yeah, I used Sacred Sword against Trista.
Yeah, you Sacred Sword against me too.
I killed Karis's. I fainted Karis's T-Tower.
We don't kill him.
Yeah, I fainted Karis's T-Tower with Sacred Sword.
You also KO'd
Yeah, you killed my
Paul's
Kangaskhan.
Paul's Kang?
first-
Oh yeah, game 1. Yeah.
Sword.
Game 1 was a good time.
Wasn't for me.
I missed game 1.
Yeah.
Dude, I was up
don't.
1-0 in the finals.
Yeah.
Steven is so
I can tell you're really salty.
I love you, Paul.
I love you too.
Never forget that.
So, Paul,
Yeah.
did you know what you were going to do for Game 3? Like, I'm pretty sure you were trying to bait out Steven's Aegislash because you probably knew he had to bring it if he wanted to beat the Calm Mind Cresselia.
I thought that he'd bring like Gardevoir on top of Finny, so that's why I brought Naddle or whatever. It's because like the Sludge Bomb would do a lot to it. But like after that, I decided to just like wing it because like I didn't think he'd bring Landorus, so that kind of like threw me off a bit.
You kind of kept bringing Feeny for me,
Yeah.
like for my seeds. So I thought to myself, like I can afford to expend the Feeny slot. Since I was thinking of bringing Feeny to try to beat the Calm Mind Crest,
Yeah.
but I kind of realized that Feeny doesn't really beat Calm Mind Crest in 1v1.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I kept bringing Finny because like it would be good against like Incineroar and like Landorus. And that would do, like,
I mean, no matter what combination of mons I brought, Feeny was going to be good against the mons the team I brought. Like, unless I didn't bring Intimidate, in which case I was kind of I would have probably gotten messed up even more.
yeah.
So, you two players, Steven, I believe you already have your Worlds invite and you're aiming for day 2.
Mhm.
And Paul, you don't currently have your Worlds
No.
invite, but getting really close, I believe. I believe you're only about 50 points away.
You were at like 157 CP for like.
The chart that I think he just updated. I think you have 351 now. You're tied with Patrick Donegan.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you were at like 157 for like 3 months. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow, that
Hey.
was just like so
Hey.
much.
Whenever I would talk to
Yeah.
them, he'd be like, "Hey Paul, how you doing?" It's like, "I'm doing good. I got 157 CP."
Yeah. Exactly.
So how do you feel about your positions for Worlds, both players? I know Steven is aiming
feeling
for
alright
day
about
2,
it.
and Paul is obviously just
Yeah.
aiming for day 1. Even though you could probably get day 2 if
Yeah,
you
it's
do
kinda-
really well at
Just gotta win
next
your
events.
regional, and you gotta get second in Nats again.
Yeah.
Are you
We'll see how it
expecting
goes.
Dude, I think even if you get like, how much is that? 600 CP.
I think it's like 400 per second.
It'd probably be
It's
close.
still not a. It's
It'd
not
probably
gonna
be
a
close.
lot.
Like it would be close, like for
Yeah.
day 2, but For us, it just comes down to Sao Paulo. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard for me for like anyone else that's like not
Because
like a part of your group.
the ninth place gap is still kind of there,
Yeah.
so it's hard to.
It's like 200 points, right?
Yeah, I know. That's like 180.
Still a lot. That's like a regional apart.
So wait a minute. Let the people know that their mid-seasons and PCs are actually mattering for.
Mid seasons and PCs matter a lot.
Yeah, there we go.
I'd be out of top 8 right now if I didn't go to my PCs. What do I have, like 5 points from PCs? I think something like that. I got a lot of CP from PCs. So.
Yeah, I know you want a lot of them.
And Paul, I believe you told me that you actually have 0 regionals.
Yeah, I don't have any CP from regionals.
Oh yeah, you have 100. Yeah, you have the 100 from London. That's why. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I have so much.
Would you have 1 or 1? What did you get at London?
100, I think. Yeah.
Same as just.
So do you two plan on traveling to any more events currently?
Unfortunately, yeah.
I'm too poor. I can't do that.
Steven,
No.
I know you have a lot of events that
I'm-
you're planning.
I'm going to I got money to go to Sao Paulo, so I'm going to Sao
Sao
Paulo.
Paulo, any more regionals?
You'll probably see me at Roanoke, Toronto. Then everything else is kind of a toss-up after that. So.
What about you, Paul?
Probably just like Toronto. I mean, not Toronto, Roanoke. That's like the only one I'm confirmed to going.
I thought you and Kylie were looking into Toronto potentially.
You
If
going-
you
I
could
don't
get
think I
that
go to
final
Toronto. I
votes.
have a final on that weekend.
Is it physics?
No, not physics.
I wish it was physics.
No, I hate physics.
I love watching you suffer.
I hate you too.
And you,
Justin is actually telling us in chat that Nails just passed Justin Kruba for 8th place in North America.
Oh, they had midseason today. Didn't they?
Yeah, I think.
Didn't Chicago have a midseason too? Yeah.
Chicago. Or
Who won that? Because I know Kruba and Underhill would have played in top 4. I know that, but
I don't know who won, but that's
Okay.
what Justin is saying. That Nails just passed Justin Kruba to go into 8th place.
all right.
So
I know
the top 8 right now is for the trip to nationals. Our
to Indy. Yeah.
Yep.
No, not Indy. Columbus.
Columbus.
I forgot about that. I was really happy about that.
I mean,
Wait,
Columbus isn't bad.
chat. What are your thoughts on Columbus versus Indy? Chat, come on.
You can't
I'll-
even read the
There's a
chat.
delay, so it
I love the
may
chat.
take a minute.
I love the chat.
can't even read
I'll
the
wait.
chat.
I'll wait as long as I have to wait
All right,
for the
then,
chat.
Any thank you or shout outs you guys want to shout out?
Shout outs to Nathan Wright, who was kind of the original builder of my team, kind of inspired me to use guard, and River Davis for also pushing me to use guard.
Ooh, that's a good name. I like River.
Rivers Davis is a cool guy.
River sounds like a cool name.
Shout outs to Gaspacho because nobody who ever gets on mic seems to shout them out anymore.
No. Didn't we have a shout out for Gazpacho in Charlotte?
No, we didn't.
Not at all.
Yeah, Nate forgot to. David forgot
Nate and
to.
David forgot to.
Because I was gonna say there's
Joseph
a whole
didn't win,
bunch
so he
of-
didn't get interviewed.
Okay, I was just mad.
the
I was
girl
just.
thing,
I was just salty because David hacks me out, and he didn't let me pop off on Mega Evolution. I was mad about that.
People are mad that Columbus is 2 hours away from Progressive Field. Justin wants to go to an Indians game. That's all I'm hearing in chat right now.
It's closer. It's closer to City Field though. If you want to see a Mets game, they're 11-1 right now. I'm gonna watch the game when I get home. I'm excited now.
What about you, Paul? You didn't talk. Did you have any shout outs?
He was just on Twitter.
I don't do shoutouts, so I don't have anyone. But I mean, I guess if I had to choose,
I'll do Paul shoutouts for him.
gonna
So
do some,
shoutouts
but-
to like all the Kangaskhan defenders out there. We're going strong. Oh wait, we're going strong. I use Kang too. Like
Yeah, but you didn't do well with it.
I got $500 with Kang.
So, I mean, you didn't cut the international with it.
I didn't cut.
Yeah,
I got crit on the side stream.
that sucks for you.
I know.
All right, what was it? So, Fry just.
Shade! So crazy right now.
Yeah, Fry. I just give a shout out to like whatever Japanese people came up with this team. I just stole different parts of it and put it all together.
language.
Yeah, and their language.
Yeah,
I actually, I
I'm
don't know
staring at your team
Japanese.
sheet right now. I have no idea what's going on.
Any reason for Japanese over English?
I got bored, so I put it in Japanese.
I mean, it works out because I'm
Yeah.
looking.
A
At your
question.
I'm looking at your team sheet right now, and I have no idea what any of this
Here,
says.
I got you.
Dude, don't put it
Yeah,
on stream though. People can translate it.
Oh well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not using this team anymore. So,
What are your thoughts on using a cartridge over a digital?
cartridge?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter for me. It's just Pokemon.
I'm trying to make Paul. I'm trying to make conversation.
Yeah,
here.
but like I mean, I guess digital has like a benefit because like you're never gonna be on the stream DS, so like you don't see like your HP stats. Other than that, like there's really not that much of a difference. But I guess that could be like a really big one.
All right. James, anything from you?
Not much.
Yeah.
So I know you're maxed out on mid-seasons, right?
Wait, why are you interviewing me? I didn't play.
Why not?
We're allowed to interview you.
Yeah.
All right.
Turn the tables.
So I know you're maxed out on mid-season. That's why you didn't play today, right?
Yeah, I basically just came
Yes, how's
because
your
I was
day?
in the area anyway and just decided, hey, a bunch
Tiago?
of my friends are going to be at this MSS. Why not? Support your locals. I got
Shout outs to
help out.
locals. Shout outs to everyone that showed up today. We had 27 masters and
27?
11 seniors and
27?
juniors.
Yeah, that,
Seniors.
I know.
that sounds like a lot.
I know.
Like, seniors.
Really?
I have a first place trophy that's going to no one right now.
Can I take
The
it?
juniors?
I could take it.
Tiago,
Yeah, Tiago.
Yeah, he's
Tiago,
Oh my God.
Tiago James, Tiago James, 2016 money match for the last trophy. Does anyone have Oras? I'll play you right now, Tiago. I mean, all right. Shoutouts to everyone I mentioned before, Paul.
I already gave my shout.
Shoutouts to the stream.
Any last words you want to say to our viewers about like if they want to potentially just come out to their events? What would you say to them? Any of the new players?
If you're from NYJ or the surrounding area, there's gonna be a mid-season showdown in Kings Games in Brooklyn, New York on May 5th. Double header with the Premier Challenge as well.
This guy.
Yeah, look at you promoting.
Future caster in the making over there. He's working on it.
Hay un MSS en 2 semanas en las Nueva York. That's all I know.
Bro, what do you say?
He's speaking Italian.
That's Spanish, right?
Yeah, that's what Tiago said to do.
I'm playing in Japanese. He's speaking Spanish. I can't.
Wait, Nueva
I
York
didn't-
is Italian too. How to say New York? It is.
Oh,
It
okay.
Is it just Nueva York? Right.
It
You
is
learn something new every day, stream. How many viewers we have right now?
Paul, anything you want to say to our new players who might be starting out VGC? Any advice you could give?
I mean,
them?
Steven already covered everything. Just like try to go to your local.
Go to your events, meet
Yeah.
people, talk to people. Don't be afraid of people.
Yeah, that's how you get better. Just like going to events.
Are you trying to get us to laugh?
Would you recommend
Oh.
people to go to locals?
Yeah, I would recommend it, especially if you're like you're new. Like especially like it just gives you like a place to like try out and see like where you stand and stuff and get better and meet new people.
Yeah, the experience is absolutely huge. But otherwise, I think that's going to be it. Thank you all for tuning in to today's stream from Liberty Garden. Congratulations to Paul for getting first place at this MSS and Steven, who is a bit salty right now.
I'm happy.
Yeah, you better be happy.
I've missed CP like my last 5
Hey, it
events.
didn't look like it when you're staring at Paul.
I love staring at
You were
Paul.
glaring at Paul.
God.
I love staring at Paul.
Oh God.
All right, wrap it up.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to the stream.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to everyone here.
Congrats
Shoutouts to our
watching this.
TOs, our judges. Shoutouts to Tiago. That's
Want to
Yeah.
do?
shoutouts to our
wanna do
commentators
how
as well,
K-pop
James and
does,
Joe.
Like the K-pop buy.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
doing that. If you're doing that, I'm not doing it.
Dude, you were the one pumping BTS before finals, Paul.
Yeah, I love K-pop, but I'm not doing that.
Well, both of you love K-pop.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, later.
But
All
later,
right,
everyone.
Let's say goodbye, everybody.